Doris is a very busy woman, fully committed to her job, and because of this, she hired Agnes to assist her with the household chores. Agnes's duties included cleaning the house, cooking, washing, and attending to every domestic need whenever Doris was away. But only 3 months after being employed, it became clear that Agnes was pregnant. The question on everyone's mind was simple: who was responsible for this pregnancy? Who had Agnes been sleeping with? Could it be the gate man, some of the area boys from the street, or even Doris's husband, Mr. Ad? No, that seemed impossible. After all, Mr. Ad loved Doris deeply, and Doris herself was the breadwinner of the home, a hard-working woman admired for her dedication. Still, no one could be certain. Anything was possible. Well, let's find out. Grab your popcorn, sit back, watch, and please don't forget to subscribe as we journey through this amazing true life story together. Doris had always believed that success demanded sacrifice. Since childhood, she had dreamed of financial security, climbing the corporate ladder, and becoming a woman of influence. She worked her way through school with relentless determination, graduated at the top of her class in economics, and secured a prestigious position at one of the leading banks in Lagos. She became one of the youngest senior executives in the bank's history, and her career was soaring. But success came with a heavy price. Doris was always busy. Her alarm rang at 4:30 a.m., and before the sun even rose, she was already in her car navigating the chaotic Lagos traffic. She spent endless hours at the office, attending meetings, signing documents, and closing multi-million naira deals. By the time she got home, it was usually past 10 p.m. Most nights, she was too exhausted to do anything except shower, eat quickly, and fall into bed. Her husband, Ad, had been supportive at the beginning. He admired her ambition and drive, but as months turned into years, their marriage began to businessman too, but unlike Doris, he valued balance. He loved his wife, yet he also longed for attention, intimacy, and companionship. At night, he would reach for her, only to hear the same tired words. "Ad, please, I've had a long day. I'm exhausted." He tried to be patient, but patience has its limits. To ease the burden at home, Doris hired help, a cook and a housekeeper named Agnes. Agnes was a young woman in her mid-20s, with smooth dark skin and gentle eyes. She had grown up in the village before moving to Lagos in search of work. Doris welcomed her into the household, provided her with a stable income, and treated her kindly. Each morning before leaving for work, Doris would remind her, "Agnes, make sure Ad eats well. Take care of him. Make sure he lacks nothing. Provide him with anything he wants." Doris meant it innocently, but words, once spoken, can take on dangerous meanings. Everything seemed fine at first. Agnes worked diligently. She cooked, cleaned, and kept the home in perfect order. But one humid evening, heavy rain poured over Lagos, flooding the streets. Frustrated by the weather, Ad decided to return home earlier than usual. As he entered, walking down the hallway toward the bedroom, he heard running water from the guest's bathroom. The door was slightly ajar. Curious, he leaned closer and peeped inside, only to freeze at the sight before him. Agnes was bathing. She stood completely naked, her skin glistening with droplets of water. For a few seconds, neither of them moved. Then Agnes gasped and scrambled for a towel. "Sir, I didn't know you were home. I'm so sorry, I left the door open. Forgive me," she stammered. Ad's throat went dry. He wanted to turn away, to leave immediately, but something rooted him to the spot. He had always noticed Agnes, the graceful way she walked, the sparkle in her eyes when she laughed, but never once had he thought of her like this. Yet, standing there, he could not deny the sudden rush of desire flooding through him. "I'm sorry," he finally muttered, stepping back. Agnes, now partially covered, tried to slip past him, but as she did, Ad gently caught her wrist. "Agnes," Ad's voice was soft, almost hypnotic. "You are beautiful. I would like to make you my mistress. I promise to take good care of you, and I'll even double your salary." Agnes looked away, her heart pounding. "Sir, please. Madam trusts me. I can't betray her. I can't betray her trust." "Doris is never here," Ad pressed on. "But you are. You cook for me, you care for me. Didn't she tell you herself, take care of me?" Agnes's lips trembled. This is wrong, sir. Please. I can't. Madam will be so angry with me. She is such a kind woman. I can't do this to her. But there was something dangerous in Ad's eyes, something thrilling. He kept pushing, persisting until finally Agnes gave in. That night he slept with her. It was the beginning of a new drama. After that fateful encounter, Ad could not stop thinking about Agnes. To him she was sweet, gentle, maybe even better than Doris, his wife. At first he tried to tell himself it was only a mistake, just one night of weakness. But soon it became routine. Every time Doris left for work, Ad and Agnes found themselves together. In the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the very home Doris had worked so hard to build. Agnes tried to resist at first, but Ad was relentless. He showered her with gifts, new dresses, expensive perfumes, and even bundles of cash. One night he whispered, "This is just between us. No one has to know. We only live once and we must enjoy ourselves. Don't tell anyone, Agnes. Let's keep this our secret." And so the betrayal continued. Unlike before, Ad no longer disturbed Doris at night for intimacy. Instead, he would smile and say softly, "You're tired, honey. Don't worry. I understand. You're such a hard-working woman, and I appreciate all you do." Doris, relieved that her husband was becoming more considerate, never suspected that his needs were simply being met elsewhere. Months passed. The affair remained carefully hidden. Then one Sunday morning, Agnes suddenly began vomiting. She rushed to the sink, clutching her stomach. Doris noticed at once. "Agnes, are you okay? What's wrong?" Agnes wiped her mouth quickly. "It's nothing, madam. Maybe something I ate. Don't worry, I'll be fine." But Doris wasn't convinced. She grabbed Agnes's wrist firmly. "No. We're going to the hospital. Something is wrong." "Madam, please, it's not necessary," Agnes pleaded. "I'll be fine." But Doris insisted. Together they went to the hospital. After running tests, the doctor returned with a smile. "Congratulations, Miss Agnes," he said. "You are pregnant." Doris's eyes widened in shock. "Pregnant?" she repeated, her voice trembling. Agnes swallowed hard, looking away. "It must be a mistake, madam. I'm not pregnant." Doris's hand shook as she spoke. "Who is responsible? Who have you been sleeping with? The gate man? The area boys in the street? Does this mean that when I leave for work you run around with all the men outside? Tell me, are you a prostitute?" Agnes remained silent, unable to speak. Doris pressed her again and again, threatening to throw her out if she refused to answer. Finally, with tears in her eyes, Agnes whispered, "Madam, it's your husband, Mr. Ad." Without warning, Doris slapped her hard across the face. "Don't you dare accuse my husband. Don't ever speak such lies again, or I'll kill you with my own hands." But Agnes stood her ground. "Madam, it's true. He is responsible for my pregnancy." Doris's head spun. Anger and disbelief surged inside her as she stormed back home, her heart pounding like a drum. She found Ad sitting in the living room watching television. She threw the hospital report at him. "Ad," she screamed, "look at this." He glanced at the papers casually, then looked up at her. "Agnes is pregnant," Doris said, her voice shaking. "And she says it's yours. Tell me it's not true." Ad sighed deeply. Then in a calm, steady voice he said, "It's true." The words shattered Doris's world. She felt as if the walls were closing in on her. "How could you do this to me?" she whispered. Ad's expression darkened. "You don't have time for me, Doris. You're always working, always tired," Ad said firmly. "I am a man, blood flows through my veins. You told Agnes to take care of me, well, she did. Who gives a man fish and expects him not to eat it? You gave me fish, Doris, and you expect me to starve?" Tears burned in Doris's eyes. The room spun around her. The betrayal was too heavy, too much for her to bear. Her knees buckled, and the last thing she heard before the darkness swallowed her was Ad's voice calling her name. She fainted. She was rushed to the hospital immediately. The doctors began treatment without delay. It took several hours and special care before she finally regained consciousness. When she opened her eyes, the world still felt distant, unreal. She wished it was only a dream, but it wasn't. This was her bitter reality. Standing next to her bed was Agnes. The same girl she had trusted, The same maid who had betrayed her, now standing there, her hands resting protectively on her pregnant belly. "What are you doing here, you Jezebel of a girl?" Doris's voice cracked with anger and pain. "Were you mocking me all this time? Do you want to snatch my husband after everything I've done for you? Is this how you repay me, by spitting in my face? God will judge you." "Madam, I'm sorry," Agnes whispered, her eyes wet. "It was never my fault. I never wished for this to happen. It was Olga who persuaded me. I think maybe it was God's will that it happened like this." Doris turned her gaze on her, her voice trembling. "You have to leave. And you must abort that bastard you're carrying." Agnes's face hardened. "I won't leave, and I won't abort my own baby. Children are gifts from God. This child is your husband's child." At that moment, Ad walked into the room. "She's not going anywhere," he said coldly. "And she's not aborting any child. Abortion is a sin before God. Besides, you couldn't give me a child for 6 years of marriage. Maybe God has decided to bless me through her. Like she said, children are a gift from God." Doris turned to him, her voice shaking. "Abortion is a sin before God, yes, but adultery is good before God? You're choosing her over me?" "I'm choosing my child," Ad replied flatly. Doris stared at him, disbelief turning into rage. "You disgust me," she whispered. Her heart was breaking. In less than 24 hours, the man she had loved, supported, and worked for had shattered her completely. She couldn't take it anymore. Once discharged, Doris went back home and began to pack all her belongings. She had made her decision. She was leaving the house to Ad and Agnes. As she walked out the door, Ad called after her. "Where will you go? All you have is your job," he shouted. But Doris didn't answer. She didn't even concentrate at work. The pain was unbearable. But somehow, with God's help, she found the strength to endure. Slowly, she built herself up again. Doris threw herself into her work. But this time it wasn't just an escape. It was a fresh beginning. She moved into a high-rise apartment overlooking the city lights. She traveled, she lived. She found new meaning in her independence. Meanwhile, Ad began living openly with Agnes. Though they weren't legally married, they behaved like husband and wife. For a while, everything seemed fine between them. But then one day, something unimaginable happened. Doris was on vacation in Dubai, relaxing by the pool, when her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and froze. It was Ad. At first, she ignored the call. But it rang again. And again. Finally, she picked up. "Babe, can we talk?" Ad's voice came through the line. Doris considered his words, her chest tightening. Then she replied coldly, "There's nothing left to say." She ended the call. Now the question remains. What could Ad possibly want from Doris? Why would he call her babe after everything? What was he up to? Clearly something was wrong somewhere. Music.